Before tonight's story begins, take a moment and breathe in the quiet. Some stories arrive loudly, like thunder crashing across the sky, but others arrive softly, almost unnoticed. And yet, those quiet stories often change our lives the most. If you believe that love, family, and second chances can appear when we least expect them, then this story is for you. Because sometimes a single message sent at the right moment can remind us that our story is far from over. The house was peaceful. Rain drifted steadily outside, painting the streets of Portland in shimmering reflections. Street lamps glowed through the mist like small floating stars, and the soft sound of water tapping against the windows created a gentle rhythm that filled the evening air. Inside the kitchen, everything felt warm and calm. Emily Carter stood by the sink, drying the last plate from dinner. The meal had been simple, just a bowl of soup and toasted bread. She liked it that way. Over the years, she had learned that simple things were safer. Simple meals, quiet evenings, predictable routines. Because when life stays simple, it doesn't fall apart. At least, that's what she told herself. For many years, this house had been her entire world. Every shelf held memories. Every corner carried the echo of moments long past. And Emily had learned to live inside those memories carefully, like someone walking through a room filled with fragile glass. Her days rarely changed. She spent long hours working at a small neighborhood bookstore, surrounded by stories written by strangers. Stories of adventure, love, heartbreak, and hope. Stories that belonged to other people. After work, she returned home, cooked something small, washed the dishes, and sat with a book before going to bed. Day after day, week after week, year after year. It was steady, it was quiet, and for a long time, Emily convinced herself that quiet was enough. But deep in the spaces between her thoughts, there was something missing, something she had learned not to name. That evening, as she placed the last plate into the cupboard, a soft vibration broke the silence. Her phone buzzed gently against the marble counter. The sound was small, almost easy to miss, but the room was so still that it caught her attention immediately. Emily glanced toward the counter. The screen lit up softly. A message from Liam, her son. Emily paused, her hands suddenly still. Liam didn't usually text this late, not unless something was wrong. Instantly, her mind filled with questions. Was he okay? Did something happen? Was he hurt? Was he in trouble? She wiped her hands quickly on a kitchen towel and picked up the phone. Her heart was already beating faster. The message was short, but somehow it felt heavy. Mom, I want to tell you something tonight. Please don't be surprised. Emily stared at the screen. Once, twice, again. The words didn't change, but they seemed to grow heavier every time she read them. This wasn't just a message. It felt like the beginning of something important. What does that mean? She whispered softly. Her fingers moved quickly across the screen. Of course. Is everything okay? She pressed send. Almost immediately, the small typing bubbles appeared, then disappeared, and then nothing. No reply. Emily frowned slightly. That wasn't like Liam. He had always been thoughtful, careful, steady, especially after everything they had been through together. She placed the phone back on the counter, but every few seconds her eyes drifted back toward it, waiting. Emily and Liam. Outside, the rain began falling harder. Drops tapped against the windows like quiet footsteps. Ever since Emily's husband passed away several years earlier, she and Liam had become everything to each other. They had carried their grief together. There were nights when they talked for hours, and nights when they said nothing at all, but somehow they still understood each other perfectly. Emily had done what mothers always do. She gave everything. Her time, her energy, her dreams. She worked longer hours, skipped vacations, ignored the quiet voice inside her that sometimes wondered what life might have been like if she had chosen differently. But she never regretted it, not once, because Liam was worth everything. Still, tonight, something about that message unsettled her. It wasn't exactly fear, but it was something close to it, something unknown. Tea and thoughts. Emily exhaled slowly and reached for the kettle. Over the years, she had learned one simple truth. Tea helps when thoughts become too loud. Within minutes, the kettle whistled softly and warm steam curled into the air. She poured the tea into her favorite mug and wrapped both hands around it, letting the warmth calm her racing thoughts. Then she walked to the small table beside the window and sat down. Outside, rain slid slowly across the glass. Inside, time seemed to slow. Her mind wandered. Maybe Liam had found a new job. Maybe he was moving away. The thought tightened something inside her chest. Of course she wanted him to succeed. Of course she wanted him to build a life of his own. But the idea of this house becoming even quieter, that was harder than she expected. And then, without warning, her thoughts drifted somewhere she rarely allowed them to go, to someone she tried not to think about too often. Daniel Harper had walked into the bookstore months earlier. At the time, he seemed like just another customer, but something about him felt different. He didn't rush. He didn't scroll endlessly through his phone. He didn't treat the store like a place to pass through. He lingered. He noticed things. One afternoon, he approached the counter holding a worn poetry book. He looked at Emily thoughtfully and asked a strange question. "Do you think poetry still matters today?" Emily smiled politely. "Stories always matter," she replied. That conversation lasted much longer than either of them expected. After that, Daniel began visiting the bookstore often, sometimes twice a week, sometimes just to browse, sometimes simply to talk. They spoke about books, childhood memories, and the quiet comfort that stories bring to lonely people. Slowly, without realizing it, Emily began to look forward to those conversations, because Daniel did something rare. He listened. Not to respond, not to impress, but to understand. And it had been a very long time since anyone had listened to Emily like that. One evening, as the bookstore was closing, Daniel paused near the door. He hesitated for a moment, as if he were deciding something important. Then he turned back toward her, holding a book tightly in his hands. "Would you like to get coffee sometime?" he asked. Emily felt it instantly. Hope, fear, possibility, all at once. But fear spoke louder, so she smiled gently and said the safest words she could think of. "I think my life is a little too busy these days." Daniel nodded kindly. He understood, but there was something in his eyes, a small flicker of disappointment. And long after he left, Emily wondered if she had made the wrong choice. Suddenly, the quiet kitchen filled with sound. Her phone began ringing. Emily jumped slightly. The screen lit up. Liam. Her heart skipped. She picked up the phone immediately. "Hello?" For a moment, there was only the sound of rain in the background. Then Liam's voice came through. Soft, nervous. "Mom, are you home?" Emily sat up straighter. "Yes, of course I am. Liam, what's going on?" There was a pause. Then he said something that made her heart stop. "Can you open the door?" Emily blinked in confusion. "What?" "I'm outside."